Picking my favorite album of 2019 has been a really hard choice with all the great albums that have come out this year, but I finally chose my favorite, which is NF's The Surge. The Surge is one of the most powerful, beautiful, and motivative records I've heard in a long time. I've started listening to NF because of Victor, who you might remember from the podcast I did for an entire 5 episodes. Before we recorded the first episode, he wanted me to listen to the Surge song that had just came out, so I did, and ever since I was hooked. Now, NF has influenced us both a lot in terms of making music, which you will hear more of in the future. As this masterpiece is 20 songs long, I'll be going through the highlights only, because otherwise the video would be too long. It starts with possibly my favorite song of the entire year, The Surge. The song has great lyrics and it just gives me a boost of motivation every time I listen to it. The way it slowly builds up to an epic moment is just orgasmically good. Then it goes on to Leave Me Alone with a good flow, a great instrumental, and a beautiful and again motivational chorus. Leave me alone! Hey, yeah. Quiet, yeah, leave me alone! And through the entire song, I love how he talks to himself and to the listener at the same time. Change is a beautiful song that is more like a gospel kind of instrumental which works really well on the chorus, and as a drummer I find myself kind of airplaying the chorus every time I listen to it. I'm looking for... The song also has one of the best flows on the entire album. Nate is a beautiful song of NF talking to his younger self, being realistic about the current NF, just bluntly saying that it's not all gonna be okay, but that the current NF is there for his younger self, while also telling stories that it just hurts everyone's soul to listen to. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but if you can, I just need you to get it. I know you've been questioning life. Time is not any of my favorites, but in terms of radio-friendly rap song, it's beautiful with NF who can actually sing well, sing the chorus. I just need time. Returns is one of my favorite songs in this album, especially the part around the first minute. That part alone makes me want to run around the globe and then still be able to swim the entire ocean. Come out my mouth there. For anyone out there doubting, I acting mouthy. Motivation, that's definitely what this album feels like to me. And this song, even though people say it's an Eminem diss, I do not think it's an Eminem diss at all, as a huge Eminem fan, so I don't take any offense to this song. Talking about my favorites, When I Grew Up has to be one of the best songs of the year for me. Might be cheesy chorus-wise and cheeso all over the song, but I absolutely love this gem. Getting down like everybody else. Graduating, probably get a job, but doesn't pay the bills. That'll make a lot of sense to me, forget the happy. The lyrics is what makes the song as great as it is. I also love this music video a lot with the trash and the different kind of jobs that he has to go through to get to his rap career that he currently has. And we're skipping the middle part a bit and come to the next highlight, which is No Excuses. This song has more power than Floyd Mayweather and a great instrumental with the Bills. No excuses, I got no excuses. I love the lyrics, which I know is getting boring to hear from me, but this album's just stacked with great lyrics, instrumentals, and motivation. Parted 210, where everything distorts, is also fantastic. Thinking is the last highlight of the album. Nothing new to add here except that I love the line, "To most negative thinking makes you a pessimist," but to me, negative thinking means I'm just realistic. The most negative thinking makes you a pessimist, but to me, negative thinking means I'm just realistic. Now, in total, this album has been the best thing for me released in 2019, which was a close bet, because as you can see here, I listened to quite a few albums and EPs. These are all in order from left top to right bottom. If you know me, I'm a huge metalhead, hip-hop fan, and a rock fanatic, and in terms of metal and hip-hop, 2019 have been an absolute phenomenal year. Worst thing metal-wise was probably Tool's Fear Inoculum. Tool fans, please don't kill me. And hip-hop-wise, I hated Jesus is King by Kanye. Rock-wise, nothing really excited dropped for me. There was the Foo Fighters EP and the underrated Youth EP by Youngblood. Other than that, it wasn't a good rock year in my opinion. This is Leroy, signing off.
Swae here, from SfekTek. Leroy, you asked me to outline my favorite album of 2019. Picking an album as your favorite, obviously, isn't an easy task. 2019 wasn't the best year for music, in my personal opinion, especially when it comes to full album releases. But there is one album which is above and beyond everything else, and for me personally, that would be Hollywood's Bleeding by Post Malone. There are a few reasons why this is my standout album of 2019. Main one being the variety of music and the amount of collaborations Austin has managed to get into that album. It's impressive to see how much artists he has worked with to accomplish this crazy album, which on a cold winter evening with a bit of chips and just sitting back, turning the heat up, it's amazing. I love this album. There are a lot of great songs on there. My favorites personally are Internet and obviously Circles. Circles is a great song, don't get me wrong, it is one of my favorites after all, but it's been overplayed just a little bit on the public radio here in Belgium. So if I had to pick a favorite song of my favorite album, it would be Internet. There are lots of other great songs on this album. It is impressive, like I said, how many artists he got to work with him.
I just went double platinum with no features just to show a nigga I don't really need it. I know you not my friend, so I can't judge you when you do some phony shit and just pretend. Tell you what you want from me, tell you what you need from me, tell you what you want. No, I got a lot of shit going on with me. Needless to say, I'm keeping her check. She was a bad, bad, nevertheless. Athletic garage, blue diamond or shock. Hip hop it like dog.
That in and of itself provides a different vibe for some of the songs on the album. It's interesting, when you listen to one song on this album, it sometimes sounds like it's a completely different album, which is interesting. It's because the artist that helped with the song probably had some influence and made it its own little thing, which is quite cool to see. So there we go, Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding. It's amazing, I love it, I would highly recommend you get it and listen to it for yourself. If you have to pick a few songs to listen to, go to youtube.com right now, which probably already on here if you're watching this. Type in Internet, Post Malone, and tell me how you feel. Internet gives me personally these vibes or feelings. It makes me feel like the fame has gotten to me to the point where I show my head on the internet and everyone kinda just hoards around me and smothers me, which I can imagine is how Austin would feel from time to time. Because he at this point is what you would call a superstar, to be fair. Everyone knows him, everyone mostly likes him, I hope you all like him, because he's awesome. Have you seen the build he's done with Jace? With Jay from Jace 2 Cents? It's an amazing beer pong PC. The guy was so humble, even though he just got a PC that's worth like 3 times mine, and it's amazing. I still love him. He seems to have kept his personality, which is quite rare. But still, when he shows up on the internet, you know, as him, and it would actually be him, everyone would probably rave and go like, oh my god, it's Post Malone! Which I can imagine being quite difficult, and that's the vibe this song gives me, where it's like, yeah, I post a picture on Instagram of my face, and now everyone is liking that picture, sharing it, making a comment of a pimple above my left eye, like I can, right, left. I can only imagine how annoying that must be from time to time, and this song kind of feels like he's saying, guys, come on, I'm also just human, which is the same vibe I tend to get from King Reeves, completely unrelated topic, but hey, it's the way it is. So if you listen to Internet, friends, and feel the same, great, we have similar emotions, I guess. So that's it. Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding. Leroy, thanks for having me, thanks for the amazing amount of patience. I've had way too many takes of this video clip, and it's impressive. In the end, so I hope it's worth it. So yeah, there we go. That'll be it. Have a good one.
What's up, guys? My name is Steven, also known as the NerdyGinger / Ginger Music. I am obsessed with hard rock and metal music, and my favorite album of 2019 is Alter Bridge's Walk the Sky. These guys are a ridiculously talented group of musicians. Like many, I was introduced to them through the song Metalingus, which was the theme song for WWE Superstar Edge. Then after hearing Addicted to Pain on the radio, I eventually picked up their 4th album Fortress back in 2014, which ended up becoming my favorite album of all time and turned Alter Bridge into my favorite band. Alter Bridge have yet to put out a bad album, and that continues with Walk the Sky. It starts out strong with One Life as an ethereal intro track, leading into the first single, Wouldn't You Rather. This song instantly hooked me on first listen with its awesome guitar tone, creative riffs, and catchy and memorable lyrics. The song also has one of the best build-ups to a guitar solo ever. The guitar riff slowly climbs up the neck, notes getting higher and higher. There's a 2-second break, it gets a little bit quiet, and then Mark Tremonti just slices through with this ear candy bend and just begins to shred. Mark Tremonti's solos are always super memorable and always serve the song, which is why he's basically my guitar idol. I didn't buy his signature model for no reason. In the Deep is another solid track that sounds like a marriage between modern Alter Bridge and Miles Kennedy's work with Slash. It just kind of has a more classic feel to it. And then Godspeed is an awesome track that, despite being about the death of a friend, is actually a little bit more upbeat, kind of indicating a state of acceptance over what happened, and it's absolutely beautiful. The quality does dip a little bit towards the middle of the record, though all the tracks here are still good. Native Son and Indoctrination are really heavy and have an undeniable groove, and Take the Crown is just an amazing arena rock anthem. Unfortunately, track 8, The Bitter End, is really just okay. But then, starting with track 9, the album hits me with 4 of my favorite songs right in a row. Pay No Mind shows off this album's 80s synth influence and sounds really fresh and new for Alter Bridge. I love the lyrics and the epic 2-part chorus this song has. Forever Falling is heavy as hell and features Mark Tremonti on lead vocals for the first time since 2013's Waters Rising. This is my favorite track on the album. The melodies are fantastic and so catchy, and it helps that it ends with an awesome Mark Tremonti solo. A close number 2 though is Clear Horizon, a track that I can tell is going to be super underrated. It has a great extended intro that leads into the main riff that does a great job of building up the rest of the song. I think it says something that this was the track I had to replay a second time the first time I was listening through this record. The title track, Walking on the Sky, stretches the band's creativity, especially in the chorus. The chorus really has such a different feel to the band. It's just a weird melody that still sounds great, and the riffs provide a really interesting hotbed for a guitar solo at the end of the song. While the chorus is a little weird, the bridge is just heavenly. Miles Kennedy singing, "Here and now in the clouds you have found your escape," just feels dreamlike, like I'm in slow motion just flying through the sky content with life. I don't know how else to describe it. You just really need to hear this part. Which I won't play for you because copyright. Yeah, YouTube.
Wrong.
And finally, Tear Us Apart and the near 6-minute long closer Dying Light send this album out on an uplifting high note. Walk the Sky is such a satisfying listen. It has great variety in its 14 tracks and holds your interest throughout. It's not a perfect record. For instance, I probably would have cut The Bitter End as I feel that's the album's weakest track, and I do find myself skipping it when I listen through this album. But the album as a whole is still far above what many artists are putting out today, and it is my favorite album of 2019.
Alright, you all should have seen this one coming. I think the best album of the year, myself, is Juice WRLD Death Race for Love. It's, to me, is a very amazing album. Of course, to a lot of people out there, what about Tyler the Creator's album? Obviously, that's also another good one. But to me, Juice WRLD's Death Race for Love was just almost perfect. Of course, a lot of the songs up there are just, mishmash, and it really doesn't have too much of a theme on the whole album, but that's kind of what I like about it. It's just, to me, hits after hits after hits from Juice WRLD, him just putting his all into each and every song. Like, the first song, Empty, just really shows how it feels to be empty inside. He's using prescription drugs to numb the pain. He's talking about how he's always low and down. He's talking about how even though he's in the Hollywood Hills, he's still depressed.
OD, feel like overdosing, low-key. I've been looking for a sign.
And then the next song, Maze. He's basically rapping about him essentially just being stuck, just being lost, which is something that not even just me, but a lot of people can probably resonate with. Another good song up here that I really love, Robbery.
Digging up a grave for my past. I'm a whole different person.
Juice WRLD is essentially just rapping about a girl who stole his heart and then basically left him crushed, and he was not ready for that. To be honest, if you ask me, I think Death Race for Love has a few too many songs. Like, he really could have tightened this up a little bit more if he took off, like, I would say 5 or 10 other songs, because this album does have over 20 songs on it, 22 to be exact. And of course, longer albums mean more bang for your buck, but in this day and age where you pay like what, $5-10 a month to listen to every album ever created, we really don't care about the best bang for our buck anymore when it comes to music, whenever essentially we can listen to anything we want almost practically for free. I mean, like, hell, if you don't mind listening to ads, then there's no need for Spotify Premium, is there? But to be honest, this album to me is almost perfect. He could have cut a few more songs off and really stuck with the theme of the album, but to me, a few more songs really doesn't hurt anyone at all. It just gives me even more of a reason to listen to this album even more. So for me, Juice WRLD's Death Race for Love is the best album of 2019. But a close second is Tyler, the Creator's album, Igor. Yo, that thing was actually a masterpiece, I'm not even gonna lie.
Hello, it is I, Arkitoria. Leroy asked me to do this like a fucking month ago, and here I finally do it. It's like one day before deadline at this point, and yeah.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
I'm doing this unscripted since I just came home from work at the time of recording this, so like, there will probably be a lot of guts in this. But I don't really have a favorite album for this year, but I don't know if all the music's allowed, so I'll just go with it.
No, that's not allowed.
I've listened to a lot of Imperial Circus Dead Decadence for over the last year.
We released something last 2016. I asked you about your favorite album of 2019.
It's literally my top artist on Spotify. But then I've also enjoyed things like The Sun, the Moon, the Star by Aether Realm.
A song from 2017.
And I listened to a lot of Dragon Force.
Who actually released something in 2019. You could have listened to that album and said it was your favorite.
Basically, a lot of metal. Which is something you really won't expect from a weeb like me. Because yes, I am a giant weeb. Let's not go too deep into that. What am I doing with my hair? Hey, what? Yeah, I've actually listened to a lot of metal. So like, for favorite album, I cannot really say something because it'll basically be me listening to one song of that album.
But instead of saying that, you still recorded something and sent it to me.
So I'll just go with a favorite song and a favorite artist instead.
Do what you want. It's not like we're on a planned video here.
So my top 5 songs of 2019 is gonna be at number 5. Dragon Force Fury of the Storm.
Starts talking about a song from 2019, but instead talks about a song from 2004 like an absolute madman.
Number 2, number 4, Dragon Force, Through the Fire and Flames. Number 3 is gonna be Dragon Force again, Soldiers of the Wasteland. Number 2, Uda by Imperial Circus Death Decadence.
I tried to look up the song you're mentioning, but I cannot speak weeb, so I cannot find it.
At number 1 probably The Sun, the Moon, the Star by Aether Realm, because that's like a song I really enjoy listening to. And it's freaking 19 minutes long.
Welcome to metal.
But then for my top 5 artists, I don't know if I can make it into top 5. Probably not. But yeah, let's make my artists the top 3. So at number 3 is Unlucky Morpheus, which is very good, very nice, I enjoy. At number 2 we gotta have Imperial City, that Decadence, and then at number 1 we will have Dragon Force. So like, I'm like, I guess that's basically it. I guess I'll die now, goodbye.